Let's take you to where Police Minister Bheki Cele is right now in the northwest, where a law enforcement team to crime scenes where firearms cakes were discovered and illegal miners were arrested. We've got Moloko Moloto covering that story, but let's take you there live now to see what is happening there. Obviously, a huge plight in our country in terms of this illegal mining scourge that has been uncovered over the last few weeks, Moloko Moloto. But what are we expecting to come out of the minister in terms of his attendance or his arrival there in the northwest today?
Hello, Rafiwa. Indeed, the Minister of Police, Mr. Bheki Cele, is here already. He actually started at the police station where he has had a chat with some community members who were just talking about the crime situation in this area, and he promised to come back here after 2 weeks. He's saying that today he is here primarily following the arrest of 20 people in this area. Maybe if I were just to step out of the shot for Mohammed to show you this area. This is an abandoned shaft where the 20 illegal miners were actually arrested yesterday, and they entered in this building that you are seeing here. According to the information we got, the shaft is actually 2.5 kilometers long going down, and you would recall that at some point there were bodies of illegal miners here, who about 6 of them who were found killed here. So explaining the illegal activity when it comes to mining in this particular area. Earlier when we managed to have a chat with the minister, he pointed out that actually in Gauteng, for instance, there are about 6,000 open shafts. I'm just going to ask for Mohammed to come and go to the minister. Minister, thank you so much. You're live on eNCA. If you can just in a nutshell tell us about this operation that you took as the police yesterday, leading to the arrest of 20 people.
It's not today in CA. As we have explained, that in October, I don't know why that one didn't pick up your keenness, because it was almost bigger than this one, where 87 people were arrested, and they put a fight, and our guys responded. 6 of them died. Those maybe they realized that they remembered their colleagues there, so they did not put much fight. Though they are equipped, you could see the equipment: 15 AK-47 shotguns and all that, and 6,000 rounds of ammunition. So it's going on. There are other operations. There are that are projects. We are not stopping here. We will continue. But we do want to work with our sister departments, especially Home Affairs. As you have heard, that out of these 20, 13 of these guys are Basotho, only 5 South Africans, others come from Zim, others come from Eswatini. So that's a problem. But also the Department of Minerals will have to help us, because it's their responsibility, but it's them that have a capacity and understanding of closing these things. You see this thing up there. Was an opening, but you see it when you are from inside very well, that is closed. But there are other holes above this one. Whoever closes this one believes that these guys will end there. But you see this rope. So the question is, how did they put that rope out there? So they continue. So we need to do a better job as we shut these things down. But as that happens, it will help us to eliminate these operations from the sides of thugs, but ourselves will have to pursue them, find them wherever they are, and put them to court.
And when you say, Minister, that this is not the end, you will be continuing with these operations elsewhere, somebody would ask, why are we even in this situation wherein people would just go into the mining spaces, which U.S. government ought to be, if they are no longer operations, possibly the legislation should be providing some guidance. Why are we here?
I'm sure now we are beginning to cry in the wrong funeral by asking that question. That question should be asked to the Department of Minerals, which is their responsibility. It's the responsibility of 2 people, that as they live, the mines must be rehabilitated, shut down. That will be department, but also the owners. I think until 90s is a new law, this thing of rehabilitating these mines. Before that, there was no law. People, they had all the leeway of opening, ruin the land, ruin everything, and live under the previous government. This is a new one. Well, we are told that in Gauteng alone, there are 6,000 of these mines that need to be shut and rehabilitated, and they put the budget over 62 billion. So maybe that question can be answered better there. But as the South African police, as usual, we carry sins of other people. So we're carrying sins. Surely if these things were rehabilitated, the mine owners they are sitting somewhere, they are right, they are having their private jets and all, we're chasing after that here. If they were closed and the other department have closed this thing, surely as the police will be having more of our personnel, more of our time dealing with the other crime, as people have said. But here we are. We can't then let it go until we do our work properly together with those sister departments.
Paint us a picture then, Minister, of how rife illegal mining is across the country. We know other provinces such as Limpopo and the Northern Cape, there are mining activity.
There are almost 4 or 5 provinces that are giving us headache. Gauteng will be, this one is Northwest will be, Limpopo, Mpumalanga and Free State. Basically those will be the provinces. This shaft is an old one taken over by Zama-Zamas. But there are areas where they go to the live mines and take them over. There's been, I think it was in Krugersdorp, not in Krugersdorp, one town in this province, where Northwest, where you could see all yellow machines, you could see everything. You think it's a legit mine. It's not a legit mine. So there was that other big operation, and that one too, it was between the private security companies, ourselves, the Hawks and the police, where we sent the helicopters and all that. So it will be those levels taking over this, but also there is this tendency of trying to take the live one. As it would happen, there's one operation that has taken place in Limpopo where they're doing the same thing. It is on that score that the National Commissioner has agreed to create these special units that will be dealing with this thing after the instruction of the President to say, you go and reverse this thing, and other forms of new crimes like these infrastructure crimes, people hijack buildings, hijack the construction and all that. So we are responding, but I'm sure people can begin to see that the response and the mechanism that we put there are beginning to yield the result.
Final one, Minister. For the fact that these illegal mining activities are continuing means that there's a market. And the question, therefore, is do we know where these minerals that are being extracted are sold to? Why are we not arresting that end of this value chain?
Where were you last week? Where were you last week when those 6 guys were arrested with high power? The cheapest car we found on those guys is 800,000 rands. They are driving the car that you don't dream of. Those we agree, those are 2 and level 3. Indeed, the Hawks, we have moved from level 1, we are going up. For the fact that we are dealing with 3s and 2s now, which means we are not sleeping, we are doing the job.
But is that where the destination of these minerals, or are this just the people who are facilitating the market?
It's the way to the top. As I'm saying, we're dealing with 1s here. Last week we dealt with 2 and 3s, and definitely 4s and 5s are being identified. Watch the space.
So we don't know where these minerals are actually ending.
We know.
Where?
We're not going to tell you on that. That is what we're pursuing. We want to tell you where they go so that those guys they move. No.
Thanks, Ndosi. Minister Bheki Cele there, she's giving us a briefing and, of course, indicating the seriousness of illegal mining. And the question is whether at any given time the authorities will ever crack this particular activity. You heard the minister saying there that actually it is the responsibility of the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy to make sure that they rehabilitate these mines. But he is now having to deal with the criminal element of it. After all, it is government that bears the responsibility. Rafiwa?
That's absolutely correct. And of course, very importantly there, he's remaining mum on the end user or the end destination of these minerals that are being illegally mined. Hopefully we'll be furnished with those details sooner rather than later. Thank you very much. That is Moloko Moloto out there with Police Minister Bheki Cele following up on illegal mining crimes and of course the work that has been done by the SAPS to handle that scourge.